Has Ben Whittaker made a massive mistake ahead of this Liam Cameron rematch? In a recent interview, Liam Cameron revealed a key detail ahead of the fight, something that I think could be the difference between the two men on the night. Fingers crossed, I'm hoping this doesn't throw the fight into jeopardy, but in this video, I'm going to break it down and react to what I've just learned about this fight. Hello everyone, and welcome back to A Guy Called Henry. Guys, I hope you're doing very well. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, bang a like on the video, and get in the comments section below. Once I tell you what's going on, I'd love to hear what you think about all of this, because this is a matchup. It's a surprising matchup, one that I never thought would carry this much controversy and this much interest. But after the first fight, where everyone thought Ben Whittaker would walk past Liam Cameron, everybody thinks that Ben Whittaker is this supremely talented individual. He was humiliating journeymen in the ring before that, but as soon as they put a legit opponent in front of him, things were very, very different. And he's somebody that people enjoyed seeing have trouble in there, without question, because he is so cocky, braggadocious, and arrogant in the way that he boxes. Now, I personally don't have a problem with it. I think it's quite enjoyable to watch, but I just think it needs to be effective. And in this instance, is it still effective? It remains to be seen. We need to see how he approaches the rematch. But we all remember how the first one ended, with Ben Whittaker seemingly taking the easy way out by flipping himself out of the ring. It was an absolutely extraordinary thing, something I've never seen before. And I look back at it in slow motion, and I'm currently doing my game film analysis for this fight. I'm breaking it down, making my notes. I've noticed so many interesting tactical things, and absolutely crazy to me, the fight that Ben Whittaker fought. I mean, when you really break it down and you look at stylistically how he approached it, it was absolutely, I would go as far as to say it was suicidal. I can't believe he boxed the way he did in that fight. And I do wonder if there's an element in there of him struggling to transition from the amateurs to the pros now that he's been in a proper pro fight. And that leads into that comment there about this transition from amateurs to pros. You know, there's so many top amateurs that struggle to transition over. That comment there leads into what the crux of this video is really about. I'm going to play you a clip now. It's a Liam Cameron interview from TalkSport, and we're going to react to it. I'm going to tell you why that amateur comment is relevant, and I'm going to break down what's been said here and whether or not I think this could be quite an interesting, quite an important factor. Apologies to Jim White, but I've had to cover his face so I can fit on the clip. Anyway, let's crack on with it.
It's going to be a good fight. To be fair, there's a mess about what contracts, what no one's letting me speak about, so I'm going to try on here. We've signed for a 12-round fight, and they're trying to push it for a 10-rounder, doing everything they can, and I'm not budging. I'm having a 12-round fight, and this is what I tried to do it on. Gloves are off. They won't let me speak about it, and on Sky Sports, they didn't air my interview. This is the problem we're having, is that I've signed a 12-round contract fight. When I was signing contract, I thought it couldn't barely get through 5 rounds. This was weird. So, like, a couple of weeks went by, and, like, they tried to send another contract for a 10-rounder. So that shows me the confidence levels. I'm ready for 15 rounds. There's been a mistake there where now they've thought they've sent me a 10-round contract on my knowing, and really it's a 12-rounder. So when I was signing it, I thought 12 round, that suits us. That they must be mad. So we've signed it, sent it back, and they're like, "Oh, can we do a 10-rounder now?"
Have they signed it? Have they signed it, Liam?
Yeah. I tried speaking about it, and it's like, it's mad boxing. They only put out what they want you.
Who's representing you? Is it Queensbury, Liam?
Queensbury.
Right. So what's Frank saying about it then?
He's just saying that we're not budging, no matter what.
Well, if they've signed a contract and you signed a contract, you don't have to budge, do you? It's a 12-round fight. He's a Sky fighter. You want to be on Sky as well because it suits you as well. I wanted to ask you.
Okay, so some really interesting stuff to pick through there. Firstly, we need to talk about what Liam Cameron said there about he believes they've made a mistake, that they've sent him accidentally a contract for a 12-round fight that they've both signed and agreed on, and they're now asking for 10 rounds. Now, I find it very, very difficult to believe that that big of a mistake has been made. I think that potentially it's not that they wanted a 10-rounder and they accidentally sent a contract and signed for a contract with a 12-rounder. It might be more that actually, as things have progressed through camp, they've realized, actually, we need a 10-rounder here. It's a retrospective review of the contract rather than them making a clerical error, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. I don't think the legal team have messed up here and got it wrong. I just think that someone's gone, hey, you know what? Well, I think we're going to need to get some more things in our favor here if there has indeed been a mistake of sorts. Now, Whittaker's moved camps, and I spoke about this in a live stream recently, and I think it could be absolutely game-changing for him, especially, and I will show you why in my game film analysis that will be out soon, why I think Andy Lee as Whittaker's trainer makes a lot of really good sense. And I will allude to it here, and it's a lot to do with lateral movement and control of the range and use of the jab and measuring and all that sort of stuff. I think there's so many things in the styles of the fighters I see under Andy Lee that I think will really suit Whittaker, and in particular for this fight against Liam Cameron. Even if they didn't work together after this fight, it could be an excellent matchup for this particular contest. Now, I just wonder if he's in that camp right now, and Andy Lee's thinking, I don't know if he can do what I need him to do for 12 rounds. I'm going to speculate and ask that question. So that's the first thing. The second thing I have to say is this. It's absolutely ridiculous if Whittaker can't compete 12 rounds at a high level. You know, if I understand that the camp might have gone, we need more time to train him, we need more time to implement the style, we don't think he can do it for 12, that's one thing. But to say this guy is one of the hottest prospects in world boxing and can't box for 12 rounds against Liam Cameron, I think that's very troubling, very worrying. And if gas tank's going to be an issue for him when he doesn't have particularly huge power, that he's not going to go very far, unfortunately, and he will be found out very, very quickly if indeed he wasn't already found out in that first fight. I'm more than willing to accept that first fight could have been a blip. It could have been a bit of a welcome to the pros. Tactically, he got it a bit wrong. For me, when I look at Ben Whittaker right now and I look at the way he was in that fight, and this feeds into that comment I made earlier about when fighters transition from the amateurs, I really look at someone who is still trying to figure out their pro style. I don't think he yet knows what he needs to do in a pro ring to work to his biggest strengths and advantages. And I think that he played into Liam Cameron's hands quite a bit in that fight. Even just little things like the punch output wasn't insanely high, but he definitely needed to manage it better. And given I don't think he is the biggest puncher, he was really going for it in those opening rounds. And also, I think that he needs to get a lot better at setting things up, luring his opponent into making mistakes. He needs to practice more patience. But all that is to say is I do see a fighter who is still learning the pro game, still developing their style and still finding a way that they can box and win fights when they've got someone there in front of them who can actually hit them back, who knows what the pro game is about, knows how to pace themselves over the rounds, and knows how to make themselves a problem and be in front of you and provide constant pressure, which is what Liam Cameron did in this fight. Now, the other thing I have to say here is that he mentioned the fact that obviously, Cameron is with Queensberry, and we all know there's no love lost. Because there's no love lost there, because this is all contractually bound and all that stuff, I don't think you're going to see Frank Warren budging an inch. I really don't. Unless he can get a load more money for his man, I don't see him budging an inch on this. It shows up Ben Shalom, it makes him look silly. And if indeed it is a genuine issue, it increases Liam Cameron's chances of winning the fight. I mean, the whole Liam Cameron signing could even have just been a big stick it to Ben Shalom. But at the end of the day, there is a genuine issue here for Ben Shalom. If indeed Whittaker can't do a 12-round fight, if indeed right now at this point in his career, he's going to be exposed if he fights Liam Cameron again. And I am a little bit worried and a little bit concerned this might lead to a pullout. They're not good noises, they're not good sounds. It wouldn't massively surprise me if something was to happen. Look, at the end of the day, Ben Whittaker came out after that ridiculous fall out of the ring. He said that he had an injury from it. He's never been able to specify what that injury was. So I'm already going to say that I think he has fairly loose morals when it comes to using injuries as an excuse in the ring. It's something that many fighters, many promotions do. When they need to change a date or do something, they're more than happy to say there's been some kind of ambiguous injury. So I would not be surprised if something happens now that means this fight doesn't happen. If indeed all of this is true, if indeed all of this is right, that they actually want 10 rounds and they never wanted 12 and they won't do 12. But honestly, looking at that first fight, Cameron saying that he felt Whittaker was gassing, because this is the other thing we need to discuss. Was he actually gassing? I mean, I have to say that yes, he was. He was definitely starting to slow down. He was definitely looking a lot sloppier. I think that was the big thing for me. And something that I noticed he did a lot in this fight, and I did wonder whether it was to do with his lack of conditioning, was holding his feet in the pocket. And I will break down this fully in my game film analysis, but just to mention it now because it relates to the stamina issue. There was a lot of times when I thought, you know what, he needs to control the range so much better. And he's holding his feet in spaces and in zones that give Liam Cameron a very good chance of causing damage, really play to Liam Cameron's strengths. And I don't believe that Ben Whittaker is an unintelligent boxer. I don't believe his corner would have told him to do it either. And in fact, I heard them say at the end of round one, defend with your feet. That's your first line of defense. And oftentimes in that fight, you saw Whittaker sitting in the pocket, moving his hips in the pocket, trying to dip down and move his head. When you're that tall and you're that long, if you don't move your feet and someone's throwing a 2 or 3 punch combination at you, you're going to get there in the end. And we saw that with Liam Cameron. He'd throw a 1-2, he'd fall short with a jab or something. But because Ben Whittaker would dip down so often and lean forward, his body was there. And Liam Cameron did great work with the body shots. Not to say that Ben Whittaker didn't have his own success in the fight, but it was far, far closer than it needed to be in terms of what I think he could do with his athleticism and his talent, the style that could be implemented with the range and the reach that he has. I just found it to be an utterly unnecessarily close performance. But I find this whole thing just very weird, to be honest with you. I never expected this rivalry to be one that emerged. I never expected that matchup to be so close. I thought it was a great test for Ben Whittaker when it got announced, but I never realized it would turn into what it is, where it's like a bona fide rematch of interest because there is so much interest around Whittaker. And honestly, if he is not in the gym right now, absolutely killing himself, I mean, not right now because he's getting close, he'll be starting to taper off in the next week or so, I would imagine. But if he hasn't been training like an absolute maniac, getting himself physically and mentally prepared, tactically prepared, technically prepared for what is right now the fight of his life, because his whole career and potential future earnings depend on winning this fight, then I don't know what to say. And he should be ready for 15 rounds like Liam Cameron just said he is, and it's not a good look. It's really not a good look for him. So you don't want to see someone taking the easy way out. You want to see them biting down their gum shield, showing I can do this. I can go in there and box with the right strategy, with the right game plan, and make light work of somebody who, isn't at the level I believe and people believe I can get to. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think about this stamina issue? Do you think we're even going to see the fight at this point? And what do you make of Ben Whittaker in general? Do you think that he is as talented as everybody says he is? I mean, we all know that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I'm worried with him, there might be a little element of that moving forward. I definitely think that Andy Lee is a great coach for him. And it might just be that Andy Lee's gone, we need more time for him to implement the style I want. Not only that, but this guy needs to train harder and he's not ready. That might be part of it. It's a confusing one. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm putting a lot of work into this tactical analysis, so I'm really hoping the fight happens because I actually can't wait for it. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Bang a like on it, subscribe, get your comments in below. And as I always say, on to the next one.